What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chaos, and welcome to a new episode of Take It to the Table. I'm joined here by one of the guests. This time is Soul that's not going to be here, but you came to see is obviously the one and only Ignacio. How you doing, sir?
Pretty good, man. Really good. I'm taking time. Well, so Soul's not gonna be here.
No, again.
My whole point of taking this time because I was gonna come on here and I was gonna bury Soul.
Oh my dear.
I bet that's the whole purpose of me doing this emergency broadcast was just to bury Soul, but that's okay. We got plenty more to talk about, right?
Oh man, yeah, we keep missing each other. This is the second time, but yeah, don't worry. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be back with a loaded gun next time, and hopefully both of you will be here. But yeah, we got a jam-packed episode as always. We're gonna be talking about when Grand Slam happened. So Ignacio wasn't here, so we're gonna get his thoughts on Grand Slam, as well as the past week, sorry, of Dynamite as well. Been very divisive, so to speak. But of course, we got the controversial one, Ignacio, to give his his raw, honest opinions on Dynamite. And also there was I'm going to get his thoughts as well as to the controversial saying of that Soul said in the past episode that the spinner belt, the WWE spinner belt, John Cena's belt, is actually a better design than the iconic winged eagle belt. So I just wanted to see what it does, if Ignacio agrees with him or not. It's been very divisive, very controversial amongst the community. So yeah, I want to get your take on it.
Is that well, we'll get to it at the end. I'm sorry. We'll get to it.
He's ready to go, boy. He's ready to go. No worries. We got to jump back to episode. But yeah, without further ado, let us take it to the table. Yeah. All right. Cool. So let's get started. Regarding Grand Slam, which was not this week's but last week. Quite eventful. A lot of stuff happened. Myself and Soul, as we said prior, we delved into it as well. Make sure you go check out that episode to see our thoughts on that. But we didn't get a chance to speak to you about the Grand Slam, both Dynamite and Rampage. What was your thoughts on it? And just what was your take on that?
I didn't see I haven't had a chance to go back and see the episode with you and Soul, but I mean, I thought overall there was title changes and all this, that, and whatever, but I thought it was just kind of underwhelming. The main event, it wasn't Danielson's best outing, and I think Moxley as a wrestler now, Moxley hasn't really done anything of significance in my take or my opinion since he lost the world title the first time. So right. Which was to Kenny Omega, and then after that I think it's just he's doing more garbage and more garbage wrestling. Garbage wrestling. His promos are great. Whatever he cuts good promos. I think he's a great promo guy, but he insists in just doing this garbage BS wrestling style combined with quote unquote strong style of Japan. And I don't know. I think he's capable of doing that. Look, like he's one of those guys I'm really disappointed in because I think he can put on better matches, and especially with somebody of the caliber of Danielson. But I mean, I just thought it was kind of overall the show was underwhelming, and this match was kind of underwhelming. And I really thought I was in the back of my mind, I was hoping they would give Danielson the title to give us a more. I thought it would be a little bit more interesting of a story with Danielson and MJF going into Full Gear because I think that's where they're headed. But they gave it to Moxley, and now Moxley, I guess, is reached that point with the crowd where he's impervious to burial. Like no matter what you do to him, you can't bury him. The crowd's just gonna love him. I'll admit that. They love him. Why they love him, I don't know, because he's a garbage wrestler. And that's what I thought about the main event. As far as you want me to talk about the I'll talk about the key points of the rest of the card. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
So we had Jericho.
Yes, your best friend.
Our favorite Chris Jericho. Winning a title that has no significance because the entity doesn't ROH doesn't exist yet. right? Or
Mm,
at all, or whatever. And I'll go into the premise that one of the ideas online is, well, they gave the belt to Jericho because either they want to land a TV deal, and Jericho's a star, one of the biggest stars in the company. I'll admit that because it's
mm.
true. But or either that, or they're desperate to get a TV deal, so that's why they gave him the title, or they just want to or they just want to just finish off ROH, and Jericho's the absolute perfect guy to do it because he's fucking poison. Um, I don't get this or like this whole storyline of I'm I'm the sports entertainer and I'm gonna ruin ROH because I'm the opposite of what ROH is. I'm a sports entertainer. I'm not a wrestling purist anymore. Blah 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 blah. It's just everything. Like I said before, anything Jericho touches has the might of touch of shit, and this is no different. Look at everybody who he's been around. Sammy Guevara has go away heat now. Jay Kygar is just there to collect the check. Uh, who's the Santina and Ortiz? They don't. There's been like stuff surfacing. They don't like each other anymore, and Santana's
Yeah.
consistently hurt. So nobody has benefited from this guy, from the rubbing up against this guy. Like nobody is significantly better than what they were before when they touched with Chris Jericho or had anything to do with Chris Jericho. If anything, he's making things worse. He's just as poisonous as the Young Bucks and everything that's gone on with CM Punk. He's just as poisonous. He's just doing things in another way and slower to kill the company. Um, yeah, it's just garbage. It's trash. Nobody wants to have anything to do with this. ROJ purist, even though this entity doesn't exist, they don't want to see this. They don't want to see Chris Jericho with the ROH title and this storyline that's going on with him and just trying to bury the company or bury all the champions. I think that they don't want to see this, but I haven't paid attention to too much online on what they're saying about this. Maybe you can tell me a little bit, but I just think this is bad. It's bad TV. It's bad for the company. What have you heard? I haven't heard.
It's been very divisive. As some people have said, Jericho is just biding time. He's just cashing in the check. Other people saying the past couple matches have been some of his more enjoyable work prior, like before he won the ROH championship. Like he's more tolerable than he was when he had the babyface inner circle run and the beginning of the JAS. He's more tolerable in terms of match quality.
Well, I can't.
Um,
I can't. As far as his match quality, he's limited. And guys that like in and around. The thing is, guys hitting him around his age when they reach 50s or late 40s or whatever, they're limited on what they can do in the ring, right?
mm,
But they still want to perform, and that's fine. I've never had an issue with that. But they have to rely on character work, and what the character work that Jericho is doing right now is it's ridiculous. It's like he's parodying what a wrestler is supposed to be, a heel wrestler, right? That's what he's doing. He's making fun of the business that he helped try to legitimize in the early years of his career and going into WWE. That's what he's doing. He's that's why I say he's an embarrassment. As soon as he decides to leave this company, if he ever does, things are going to get a lot better. We can have real leaders come in and actually help out the younger guys that actually want to help them out and get over. Right, this guy hasn't gotten anybody over. He's just leeching onto whoever's hot at the time, and that's all it is to it.
yeah, I mean, there are times where I'm like, okay, maybe people are kind of, for me anyway, people are like, blowing the shit out proportion in terms of like what he brings to the table or what he doesn't bring to the table. But then he comes out sometimes with these random comments, and that just makes me like just put my hand in my face and just like, really, dude. Like the other one, I posted in the group chat with you guys, and I said, when he basically said he was the only big star signed when AEW began. No one really knew who. No one really knew Cody at that point, even though like they did All In, and it was just
Yeah,
him and the Bucks, and they sold that
yeah.
thing in minutes. He has been gone for years. As much buzz as Omega and Matt and Nick Jackson had, they were still mostly just regional guys absolute cap. When it comes to national TV in the States, they didn't have any. Yeah, truth. Obviously, no one no one, if you didn't have access to New Japan or anything, then you probably wouldn't know Omega or the
Yeah.
Bucks. But their matches still stood out enough for people to go and just see that match. Like his matches with Okada, Bucks against whoever it was. So they weren't nobodies. They obviously they weren't no big platforms, but people knew, like even non-hardcore wrestling fans knew to go and check out Omega and Okada, Young Bucks versus whoever it is. So yeah, for him to come out with stuff like that,
Well,
I'm just like, he was one of the big stars, but he wasn't the biggest star, like or the only
correct.
big star. You know what I mean? So that's what really makes me cringe whenever he speaks on that.
Well, just to speak on man, you're really on top of things, so because you segued perfect right into what I was going to talk about. Um, for a change, not just joking. But yeah, but no, just to add to that, people think it's just this gimmick. No, this guy
Yeah,
really believes that. This guy
yeah.
believes that he was the biggest star. He probably was, but to say that the other guy, like to say that Cody Rhodes wasn't a star, Cody Rhodes did more on the independent scene to build his character in the independent scene after he left WWE than all his years combined in WWE. What was he there for? Like 10 years or something up until that point before he left WWE. For his
Mhm.
character development, he did more in the indies, and more people knew who he was than he was when during his time in WWE. And
Mm.
then you're right about the Young Bucks and Omega. Even though I'm not a big, everybody knows I'm not a big fan, but they did have a lot of exposure just being with part of New Japan and catching their matches. And they did some stuff in ROH, but then not a lot of people had access to ROH because it was only in certain markets and stuff like that. But a lot of people still knew who they were. And then they had All In. It's this ideal or this premise that seems to be even among WWE guys, or most WWE guys, that if you haven't wrestled in WWE, then you haven't been anywhere or done anything.
Yeah.
Right? That's it's that mentality, which is that's not true. You haven't had that much worldwide exposure because you haven't been in WWE. You haven't been seen in a lot of households. Not a lot of people have seen you live, as like as to where like you've been wrestling in the indies or smaller companies. But just because you haven't been there doesn't mean that you're not good or you're not successful, or you probably haven't made as much money because W's where to go to make money. But yeah, to him that make that comment, that's just extremely is egotistical, and shows
Tone deaf.
you how much of a self-serving POS that this guy is.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't put him in a good light, and that's not the first time. He's done it so many times
Yeah.
where he literally has his head up his own ass. I mean, obviously, yeah, there are times where fair enough. You're like you're one of the most innovative people in the wrestling industry and all that stuff. But just humble yourself. Don't
Beat him.
embarrass yourself for that kind of stuff at times. But yeah, no, I agree. With Jericho as a whole, me personally, I don't think it's definitely not his best work. There are times where I feel like he's definitely feel like he's being shoved down our throats, and he should be really elevating people. Um, but yeah, right now, especially with this Ring of Honor, it's just so weird seeing him with the Ring of Honor title. I just uh for some reason, yeah, if it was more believable when it was the AEW title, but because he was never associated with Ring of Honor for as long as I can remember, him with the ROH title it's just really weird. Even if it is even if it is for business moves or marketing purposes, yeah, I don't think it really fits. But hopefully that will in turn help. That probably might give it to Danielson now because he's long overdue for a world title. Maybe they're gonna fling that onto him afterwards, or maybe Daniel Garcia. Because now there's that dynamic going on. What's your thoughts on the forget your disdain for Jericho? What do you think of this whole storyline between Jericho, Danielson, and Garcia?
I just it's just Garcia's not ready for TV. That's one point of it. I don't think he's ready. It's like he's doing training, like on the job training on a live major television show, and I think he's not exactly comfortable doing his promos yet. I think it has to do with the dialogue that they give him. He doesn't know how to come into character or act out, for a lack of a better term, on the dialogue that they give him. He doesn't know how to present it.
Yeah.
Correct. So he comes off as bland and stale, right? Because he's not seasoned like Jericho and Danielson and those guys, and that because he's not experienced. But I think he just needed more work on either at another promotion or some of the other shows or some type of developmental before they put him on TV. That's Garcia's aspect of it, because he's a great wrestler, right?
Yeah, 100%.
He's a good wrestler, but he just doesn't have that. This is an issue that I was going to kind of get into later, but this is kind of an issue that's a problem all around, is that just AEW doesn't know how to do character development. And the reason why you see these guys like Jericho and Danielson and Moxley and stuff that have been in WWE is they already have developed the characters, or know how to develop the characters, because they learned it over there. Because WWE does such a great job at it with, coaching and video packages and vignettes and coaching guys on how to cut promos and all that stuff. They're good at, when they get the right people to do it. They're good at that, and that's and Danielson and the WWE guys, that's a reflection of what they do. Malachi Black, so forth, Miro, right?
Yeah,
you've seen it. So that's what he needs, and that's what AEW doesn't have, and that kind of what I'm going to kind of speak on later as far as the past Dynamite was. It's just they don't have good character development. They don't know how to develop characters. And I think that's the issue with Daniel Garcia. The whole thing with Danielson and Jericho, so now let's take Garcia out of it, is I just don't think this is something that they could have went a different way about it. I just don't think, as far as the ROH deal, I don't know what Tony Khan plans to do with the ROH. I just don't think this is the way to present it, because like I said, it's kind of a non-entity. And Danielson and Jericho can have a good feud, because like I said, everybody knows who they are. They're stars, right? And the match is going to be subpar, because Jericho is kind of limited on what he can do. So I don't know. I think they could have went another way about it. I don't think presenting ROH in this matter is exactly the best thing that Tony Khan can do. I think Tony Khan can fold up shop on ROH and just use the video library to present video packages, vignettes, do like mini biographies or what have you on the guys that have been there, like Danielson and Claudio, and the guys that the guys that are up and coming from ROH, that were up and coming from ROH that he hasn't signed yet, like Josh Woods and whoever he wants to use from there, so forth. Bandito, we'll talk about him later on. I got some stuff to say about fucking Bandito. But for stuff like that. But as far as like tying in ROH storylines into ROH, I just don't think that's the smartest thing to do, and I think it's counterproductive to the product.
Well, yeah, I mean, going back to obviously what you said about Tony Khan's plans for ROH, I mean, there was even I think Wrestling Republic actually reported on it that when Tony Khan bought ROH, he actually had no idea what to do with it. It was more of an impulse buy.
You tell, yeah.
So
it would have been better. It would have been better. And look, before I say anything, it's like people, he's always talking bad about AEW, but that's not true at all. It's just I shit on WWE probably just as much, but it would have been better for WWE to buy ROH for the basis of the video library, because they would have
that's what they would do with it.
A lot more to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why people kind of was hoping that Tony Khan would kind of do something else and just have it as a video library. But by the looks of things, even as a video library, he ain't done fuck all with it, really. So it's definitely you can definitely say it's the impulse buy. There's no indication or even any rumors of Warner Brothers looking to give them a deal, or even a streaming deal, maybe. And I think it was quite evident from the last pay-per-view that even though it was a decent show from what I saw from online, but when you saw the photos of like the attendance and stuff, no one's really that hyped about Ring of Honor. It was
No.
completely desolate on one side. It looks very, very bad. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see regarding ROH. But I'm not holding my breath, and I'm not
No.
really fussed. So yeah, it is what it is. And also one more key thing. What was your thoughts on the arrival of let me play this.
Paycheck.
What was your what did you think of that? What was your thoughts when she showed up?
Uh,
And sorry,
well, I guess
and also because do you think she will give a is she a huge could she be a huge injection into the withering of the women's division, because they haven't really got that much star power. Well, if they did, it's completely obliterated now. So
well,
you think she might
yeah,
be
and
welcome?
it's obliterated. She helped obliterate it, and I'll tell. Well, I don't know if I can blame her, but this can segue into what I was gonna mention on Dynamite. Was number one, there was a lot of. Well, let me talk about Grand Slam first. The pop she got was absolutely amazing, but it's just kind of like she came out, and what did she do? She didn't do it. She just came out and like, okay, I'm here, and she hugged Tony Storm and whatever, and then went back to the back, and that was it. Like, that's what she's not. She said they came out and said she's not cleared, so she
Yeah,
couldn't make contact with anybody. But I don't think she didn't even talk. She didn't do anything because they wanted to wait till Dynamite, and then she came out in Dynamite, and then that fiasco happened. But so people
yeah.
were saying how, you know, her promo and this and that, and look, I don't remember Paige or Saraya being that great of a promo to begin with, right? So it was kind of cringing, I guess you can say, to watch her kind of force herself to get through that segment. Number one, it wasn't good. It lasted way too long. They didn't do her any favors by cutting her short or helping her segue into the match afterwards, which was abysmal and terrible idea. So she comes out and she's like, "Oh, I started the revolution and over there, and this and that, and now I'm gonna do it here. And come out, girls! All the girls, come out!" And you had the fucking job squad of the women's division come out, with the exception of Tony Storm, and I thought this made Tony Storm look kind of bad because they didn't allow her to talk or really speak or do anything during the
It looked
segment.
like she didn't want
Right?
to, because Paige was trying to bring her forward, and she was like, "No, no, I'm good. I'm gonna stay back here." It's like it was really weird. It looked like she
It,
didn't really want to be there. She didn't know what to. She didn't
yeah,
want to spotlight.
she looked kind of uncomfortable. She didn't
Yeah,
really want to talk. The other girls around her, they don't have no stars, right? She just kind of just reintroduced the women's division and this and that, and it made the champion look bad. It made Soraya look bad. It made everybody look bad, and then the idea they had afterwards was fucking abysmal with the lumberjack match. Just they were doing better when they were having tag team matches on Dynamite or Rampage, or I'll take Dynamite in the first 45 minutes or an hour of the show. Now they try to squeeze in all the girls in segments like this, and they just threw a match together with no build or no conflict or no video package before. They had this terrible long promo with Soraya that tried to build it up, and it fell flatter than 4 o'clock, and it was terrible. Then everybody complains about, well, why this is my IWC voice, why did you have Britt Baker on so much? Well, because she's the only fucking star. All right, she's the only star, because as much as I love her, and I think a lot of it had to do with maybe Britt Baker and a lot of the backstage stuff that's going on, Thunder Rosa didn't get over
no,
the way in the way they thought she would, in the way I hope she would. And I think a lot of that has a lot to do with backstage stuff that we don't know about. And I won't get
yeah,
into that, but I definitely think that she should have been a bigger star than what she had been. And that has to do with the TV time that they didn't give her, that they should have given her. But she
yeah,
didn't get over, right? Tony Storm's not getting over. She's falling flat. They don't let her talk. They didn't let her talk. They're letting Soraya take over. They let Soraya's presence in AEW be more important than the championship and the champion. And I think
yeah.
it just that segment made her look bad. It made everybody look bad. Nobody good came out of this. And she's a good wrestler.
Yeah.
Once she gets cleared, I think she'll put on good matches. But I just think they need to build more stars, and Sarai gives them star power. But until she gets in the ring, I don't see how she can be that great of an influence on that division. By the way, real quick, by the way, just so we can get this clear, so nobody thinks I'm just shitting on AEW. Real quick, the WWE Women's Division, they need Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks like bad, like ASAP right
Yeah.
now, because
Yeah. Yeah.
it's fucking it's the shits right now also. So I'll just say that. I won't segue into a long rant about that, but I'll just say that about that to make it even.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. No, I totally agree. Yeah, the whole AEW that whole Soraya segment was. You could tell that I kind of blame it on Rust, but I do feel like she definitely prefers to have some sort of direction, and it didn't really give her that much of a direction because I agree that whole segment just fell completely flat and it was awkward. Like they were calling her for time and she was trying to be all smart with it,
Yeah.
saying like don't call time. She tried to make some schoolgirl insult regarding Britt Baker's name. This rhymes with shit. Didn't really
I'll say,
work well.
and I'll say,
um,
I'll
go
say
on.
this during the segment, the people were telling Tony Khan or AEW or whatever, they were telling them where to go. They
Yeah,
want Jamie Hayter. And I just
yeah,
think the reason why they haven't pulled the trigger on that is because they probably know how to get there, but they don't know what to do with her afterwards. Like they know
mm,
that it's going to be Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker somehow in some form, fashion, or somehow, but they're either trying to work it out to see how they're going to get there and what they're going to do afterwards with her. But
yeah,
the crowd is telling them, we want Jamie Hayter. We don't care
yeah,
about Tony Storm. That the shine is off that. Everybody else sucks. Thunder Rosa is on the shelf. So the only thing other than they have there than other than Britt Baker is Jamie Hayter, and that's who they want. And they're
mhm,
telling them that they want it, that they want that. I believe that they just don't know how to get there yet. That's why we haven't seen it. And
mm,
some people were saying, well, it's because there was something laid out between Thunder Rosa, Jamie Hayter, and Britt Baker, and so since Thunder Rosa's out, then they put those plans on hold until she possibly comes back. Well, how about just fucking figure something out for them to do now? Because you need to start building stars, and now's the time to do it. And everybody's telling you they want it, so just do it.
yeah, yeah. If sometimes I really find it really hard to stray away from the original plan.
Yeah.
WWE seems to be very good at, for the most part, usually quite good with that. Straying away from the plan,
Yeah.
depending on who it is. But yeah, they really hate making changes, and you gotta try and ride it out as much as possible until we actually get to where we want. And
Yeah.
that's the risk because that might be too late. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's a bit of a dicey one. But yeah, I think Soraya, I feel like she's gonna get the Brock Lesnar treatment, as in probably just come out for the pay-per-view. Oh no, not Brock Lesnar, more like Sting. Come out every so often out of retirement. Do a one-off matches. Someone else will do most of the heavy lifting until
Yeah.
she gets into a groove and stuff. Um, but yeah, in terms of promos, I thought she was quite good back in WWE. But as long as she had more of a direction and she was able to
Okay.
project it, that's why I feel. But yeah, we'll see what happens from there. But yeah, this Grand Slam was not the best, obviously, compared to last year's. I think last year's was great. Was that the one when Danielson and Hangman Page happened?
Danielson and Kenny Omega.
Danielson and Kenny Omega. That was it. Apologies. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, so that was a banger of a match. So yeah, no, so yeah, it was okay. It was definitely hit and miss. But yeah, we'll digress after that. But well, I digress, I should say. And yeah, last week's or let's keep saying last Wednesday's Dynamite, going off, with what happened with obviously the Soraya segment was, understandably, there was some troubles getting into the arena because there was the Hurricane Ian that's happening. So
Yeah.
it was very ROH heavy. So obviously the main event was Jericho against Bandito for the ROH title. There was obviously segments with Daniel Garcia. Um, uh, yeah, it was very ROH heavy. Um, some people said it was quite a bit boring, compared to past priors. What was your thoughts on, like, obviously we've kind of dabbled in and out of the last set of last
Yeah,
Wednesday Dynamite, but overall, do you agree with those sentiments? Do you think it was long and boring? If you
yeah, I
with
think it
all
was
the full power.
for a couple for a few reasons, but I think it was like as bad as any Raw that's been on for the past 2 or 3 years, like prior to Triple H taking over.
Right.
And for a few reasons was because maybe the hurricane played into a little bit of it, but this goes back to they don't know how to transition, right, or make changes to still put on an effective show. Like people were complaining about segments ran long, like Soraya's, and there was more promos and vignettes and stuff like that, which isn't a problem because it's a TV show. But the issue is their guys don't know how to cut promos. They don't know how to do vignettes. They don't know how to do segues or video packages and stuff like that. So the
Mm,
things that's being presented comes off as boring or stale because they don't know how to do all that stuff. They don't know how to do character development or storyline development. That's why they have
mm,
issues with doing a show that is heavy on that, and let's try to steer away from wrestling stuff or in ring, what have you. But I just think that it's like you'll see a segment with Marvez or the announcer or whoever, and he has somebody on there, and whoever they have is interviewing. He's like, "All right, I'm mad at this person because 3 weeks ago we did this, and I'm still mad at you, and I'll see you on Rampage," and that's it. It just
yeah.
they don't know how to talk up their shows or their matches or keep their feuds in line or keep the fans vested in a pathway or a storyline to develop a match. And that's why a lot of the times, or this time, the show was stale. And then you had the segment with Saraya, and then you said it was ROH heavy, which I didn't kind of realize until you brought it up right now. And then you get to like the match with Bandito and Jericho. And
Mm,
look, for what it was, it was. I'm not saying it was a bad match, but everybody like the IWC were like, "Oh, sign Bandito, dude." Like, I would venture to say that at least half the people that were in the arena, and maybe even half the people that were watching, maybe even more, 60%, whatever, didn't even know who the fuck Bandito was, right?
yeah.
But I've watched Bandito for the past years or so, and I've watched older matches, and I've actually seen him wrestle. And guess what? He's not that fucking special. It's more flips, more flops, more dives, more non-selling. He wears a
Yeah.
mask. You can't see what he fucking looks like, or whatever. Facial expressions. He doesn't. He doesn't. He. Look, it's nothing bad, but it's like Andrade and like Phoenix and Penta or whatever. He doesn't speak English, so for the English speaking audience or what have you, like he's not going to be a great promo, right?
No.
So and that's very crucial for character development is being able to cut a promo. That's why emphasis is a lot of emphasis is put on cutting promos, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's looking for like the next Rey Mysterio, and they thought it was going to be this guy and that guy, and they thought it was going to be they were going to do something with the Del Rio and WWE, and for the most part, Alberto Del Rio was good, but his character didn't allow him to be the star that they hoped because he was a heel, right? But
Yeah.
everybody was like the next Bray Phoenix and Penta, and we've had guys come in and out, you know, from the lucha segment of the community or whatever, wrestling
Yeah.
community or wrestling world, and it just doesn't work out because they're not Rey Mysterio. Because Rey Mysterio had something special. He had that underdog thing going. He was the best quote unquote luchador of the time. Uh, 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 he actually performed well with great performers who could actually wrestle, like Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko. He just didn't do the flips and the flops or whatever. But when
Yeah.
he did, it actually meant something because he could sell and tell a story. So Bandito is cookie cutter, right? He's not that great. He's not that special. More flips, more flops, more dives. He was in there with Jericho, who was 52 years old or whatever he is, right? And it was a good match for what it was. But I think just Tony Khan needs to kind of pump the brakes as far as who he signs, because as of right now, he needs to cut his roster in half. That's what he
Yeah.
needs to do, and focus on the people that he has now instead of signing other talent that's not going to add to the add any significance to the product, unless he's getting them ready to be on another ROH show or what have you. That might be it. But other than that, like, you need to concentrate on the guys that you have now, not somebody who had just had one great match or one okay match in the eyes of the wrestling community, and then, wow, let's sign him. They love him. Let's sign him. Whatever. He's just that he's not that great, folks. He's not Bandito's not that. He's nothing to shine about. He's cookie cutter, flip flop fly, luchador style, you know, what have you. So, what do you
Yeah.
think? What do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, it was okay for what it was. I wouldn't say it's match of the year candidate. I mean, it did bring out certain stuff that out of Jericho, even though I didn't really enjoy that stalling suplex, because that was not a stalling. Like, you could
No.
tell it was struggling, like it was a half suplex at best for the most of it. I mean, he's no Sin Cara. He's not Mr. Butchermania. I mean, he's
That's who I
smooth.
was. I was trying to think of Sin Cara or
Yeah, he's like so yeah, he's not so no Sin Cara. So yeah,
and
he's just tolerable. Sorry.
Kalisto. That's who I was thinking about. Kalisto.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Also,
yeah, yeah,
what'd
yeah.
you say? I'm sorry.
But yeah, it was all right. I don't see anything special. I mean, I enjoyed his match that he had against was it Gresham, when it was the first ROH title match. That was all right. But yeah, I don't see anything special about him. Uh yeah, I think it's definitely overblown in terms of the wrestling community. But yeah, like I said, I definitely agree. We've said it for the longest of time. He needs to slow down on the contract signings, because yeah, it is really
It's
very,
because
very.
you can even tell, like, even fans can tell. It's like you fans can tell that when these guys, when it's from the side for the pack that they put it on social media. I mean, they can tell when these guys are unhappy, and even though Tony Khan is probably paying them pretty well for working once a week or whatever, uh, if they're not being used, if you're not being featured on TV, like, people are going to forget about you or not know who you are, or if they don't get the TV time or time to speak, you lose momentum.
Yeah.
You're not being featured. Like, you can throw them out there. You can even throw them out somebody out there for a 10, 15, 12-minute match or whatever, but if there's no angle behind it, like if there's no storyline behind it, there's no character building or anything, you're like, I'm just going out there and wrestling. Like, I'm not talking, I'm not there's no vignettes on me, there's no build for me. Like, what they want, people, they want to be involved in an angle that goes somewhere of some type of
Mm.
significance, or has purpose, that'll either be featured on a major show on a pay-per-view. They just don't want to be in a match for match sake just to get you on TV. They want something that the people can follow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what AEW does a lot. They just have matches just to get people out there for match sake. There's no storyline. There's no character development. There's no story development. There's no interviews or anything building up the match. Sometimes they do it on. Sometimes they even do it for their main events. Well, they'll just say, "Well, this is the main event," and you won't even
Mm.
hear about it until 2 minutes before the main event. They walk out for the main event. Like, yeah, it's just like, they don't know how to do that. They don't know how to build things like that. And I'm sorry, WWE does, because they've been doing it for the past 50, 60, whatever years. Like, these guys, they want to be featured on TV. They want to have time to develop their characters, and they just don't have. Either Tony Khan doesn't have the personnel to do it, which he does. Look who he has there. Or he just doesn't want to put the time in to do it, because he's more worried about is what match can we put on now, like tonight, that the fans want to see, and then later, by a week later, the next Dynamite, it's already forgotten about or fizzled out.
Mm. Yeah.
Am I talking crazy here, or is just like you get what I'm saying?
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
Yeah.
No, but no, it's
Does it make sense? Is what I'm trying to get at.
yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, he's doing it for the longest time. There's plenty of matches where he throws on a random episode of Dynamite, and people are saying, "Look, this is a dream match. Why don't you build it into a program?" Like when it was Darby Allin versus Jeff Hardy, everyone was fantasy booking that before Jeff Hardy was even there, and they just throw it as a random Joker match, not a Joker match, but it was as a random match in the Owen Hart Cup.
Tournament match, yeah.
And the wrong person won.
Yeah.
it was all kind of weird. So yeah, he just feels like he's got this big toy box, and he's just literally. It's not to the extent of how Vince is, where he focuses on one toy and then he just gets bored of it. Tony Khan has multiple toys, and he's like a kid in a candy store. He doesn't know what to do, and he just makes all this messed up stuff. And
so the issue with that is that what do you do if you don't have good character development? Then what do you do when all the dream matches have been done or over with?
Yeah,
it's kind of like
how many times you can do that.
Yeah,
it's
like people complain about like Lesnar and Roman Reigns, for example, right? How they've wrestled each other a bunch of times already. But if you come at it from different angles, you can change the fan interest. And again, Sasha and Charlotte, or Becky and Sasha, or whatever. Like, I love watching them wrestle, and I can watch them wrestle on every Raw and SmackDown probably. But if you come at the feud with a different story, right, or different element of a story or what have you, it changes fan interest. And that's what they need to learn how to do, or Tony Khan needs to learn how to start paying attention to people who know how to do that. Right? Because like I said, and that goes along with cutting the roster in half.
Yeah. No, agreed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments as well, guys. That was quite a lengthy, honest, raw, uncut review of both Grand Slam and Dynamite. So I'd love to get your thoughts on those shows. And yeah, leading up into one of the final segments, we're going to be talking about title belts. So in the last episode, like I said, Soul basically said he just randomly went off one. He was talking about title belts, and he basically said without hesitation that this WWE spinner belt, the one that John Cena helmed, and people like Edge, Triple H, Jeff Hardy, all them people, that title design is actually better than the iconic winged eagle that has been held by Steve Austin, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Diesel, all those kind of people. So, yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts. Do you agree on that? What's your thoughts on the spinner title? And do you think that is there something else that might be better than the winged eagle, or is that the best title of all time? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, real quick. Well, I don't know. I think Soul brain was probably pickled in bourbon or beer or something, or whatever when he made that comment, or he had some type of maybe head injury or something. I don't know. Is it because that title they like sold more of those titles on WWE Shop and stuff than any title? Is that why? Because they sold a bunch of them. Is that why he thinks it's better?
I don't know if that's he just thinks that design wise it's better looking.
Soul's he's a moron. He's just like I said, his brain was probably pickled in beer and bourbon or whatever he likes to drink, vodka or what have you, pickled in alcohol, right? No, it's not a better design, but they sold a shitload of them because the kids liked it and all that stuff. So it's probably the most sold world championship or whatever. They probably made more money off it than any other belt or whatever. But I mean, no, for me, my top belts are the winged eagle's probably my favorite because it looked like that, and the big gold were like they look like championship belts, like they look like an actual belt that a boxer or UFC or whatever fighter would have. Like, of course it's like a little bit more glitz and glamour because it's wrestling or what have you. But yeah, it looked like a championship belt. The fucking spinner belt's a toy. Like it's for a child.
Yeah.
Like the way Soul acts when he comes on here and I bury him like a child. It's for a child. So it's just, yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, the wings, as far as the WWE, like the winged eagle's probably the best design that they've ever had. Wasn't too excited when they changed it to the big eagle, the big blue, and then the Attitude Era title. I was one of my favorites also is that undisputed title that that Triple H had and that Brock Lesnar had and Kurt Angle. That I thought that was a nice looking belt, and JBL and Eddie Guerrero and them. And I didn't have a problem with that. I thought that was really nice. But and I hear Triple H is thinking about changing some designs, so I was glad to hear
they're
that.
They're all ready to go. It wouldn't surprise me because I know there's a season premiere for both Raw and SmackDown. I feel that's the best place to display those titles, because they're really building up to those two shows just before Extreme Rules. So I agree. My favorites are I grew up with the Undisputed title. Even though I remember when Triple H had it, it looked weird on him. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, there has to be certain titles that needs to look good on someone like Triple H. Like the Undisputed title and the spinner belt looked awful on him. I'm sorry. But definitely the Undisputed title. I do like the Winged Eagle. But me personally, I prefer the one, the Attitude Era world title. Those two are my favorite. I do like the big gold. I got one of those as well. I got an actual the big gold one. But yeah, the fact that he said that it was better than the spinner belt. I mean, merch wise, it's probably it is the best, but doesn't mean it was great. It just suited for John Cena and maybe Edge, because I did like the rated R spin. I did like it. I thought it was okay.
It made me throw up.
Well, fair enough. Okay, well at least we know your thoughts obviously on that, and we can all agree that Soul is on crack, because that was just awful. That was stupid what you said.
He needs to be. He needs to be buried. We need to bury him on the show more. That's what we need to do.
I need to get the shovel out. That's what we need to do. Just have the shovel in the background. Just get ready to bury him for sure. Oh man, I can't wait for that next episode. All right, well, until then, guys, this has been we come to the end of this episode of Take It to the Table. As always, thank you very much, Ignacio, for joining us on this glorious episode.
Yes, sir.
As always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below on what you thought about the show. Be sure to subscribe so you'll be updated as to when the next episode comes out. And also follow us at Wrestling Republic on Instagram, and as always, at official_TITTT for all the latest updates on the Take It to the Table show. But until next time, guys, I have been Chaos. He has been Ignacio. This is Take It to the Table, guys. Until next time, peace.